Something new, something blue. I bought some tripods and some camera holders and a whole bunch of junk from Amazon. And let me just go get one of them. You see them in the pictures and you wonder what the heck they look like when they come in a little box. Here's one of them. This thing is a total piece of crap. It's so flimsy, you wonder why they even bother making it. This is not big enough to grip my phone, even though it should have been. And the other side of it has a little hair clip that would barely hold a bag of chips closed. So, junk. What I'm going to do here with my other tripod that I have stuck in a bucket under some tow dolly straps being held in place with a big pipe wrench. I'm just making sure that it's got the right thing in view. I've got the starter from the K5 Blazer, the gas one, and I've been taking things apart, and all my videos are entertaining videos. There's nothing instructional here. If you learn something, that's just by luck. So what you have to do is get used to the smell of fluid film because it's just a few feet away. I've got some bushings here that I bought. They're sitting in a brake pad box from 30-something years ago. And these bushings are from a place that's probably long out of business. And I bought every size they had, and they've got one that's labeled 14001, which I don't know if you can see it. Where's the lens? Right there. And I've got another one labeled X1, and as far as I'm concerned, they're the same size. Because I slipped one on and I slipped on the other, and they both seem to fit the same, but anything beats what's on there now. This is the one that's 14001, and this one is X1. In this bag, I've had them for so long, the bags are just falling apart from age. So, where are you? There you are. This one has the slightest amount of play, and this one has maybe less. The 14001 has less play. So, I'm going to put a new bushing into the nose of the starter, which is right here. And this one actually has a half bushing. So watch how I do my operation. One day I'll have a bench with a vise. I have one outside, but no room in my shop right now. I've got too much junk in there. So you take a sharp, crappy screwdriver that you buy at a swap meet or a flea market or a garage sale, and you chop out the bushing just like that. And that's a half-length bushing, and I have some of those. And I don't know why they make them, but I've got them in my pile of junk. Let's see if you can see what I'm digging in. Where am I? I've got half the lens of the camera, the screen. There we go. I got a half size one. I don't know why they make them that way, but I've got lots of them, and as you can tell, in 30 years I haven't used any. So I'm going to put that back. I'm going to take this 14001 and I'm going to tap it into here. Now sometimes this cap is closed, so you take the same screwdriver, you shove it in, the bearing, the bushing collapses, and you just tap it, it falls out. How do you insert this bushing without destroying it? You take a piece of wood, which, there's the problem. Look at that. Is this a made in China nose cone? How do you tell? Because I just put the bushing in and it just fell right through. I've never seen that happen except the one on the Tornado that was remanufactured in China. The bushing was actually sitting inside the bell housing of the transmission. Well, so much for those plans. That's the X1. Maybe the X1 has a larger outer diameter, and I've rebuilt dozens. I wouldn't say hundreds because I'd be lying to you. I've rebuilt a lot of these starters. Oh, here's a diesel one right here. 6.2 diesel. See how the nose is closed on the end? And apparently, I was just reading about this, when they have that closed starter drive area, that's to keep the dust out for desert conditions. This one's more open. Guess somebody had a better idea. Here's an X1. I wonder how this thing fits. Same problem. Look at that. Just falls right through. Well, we're off to a really good start. Let's see if I have a back bushing for the back of this armature. I'm digging the back of my box of surprises. And there's one. Oh yeah, nice rough. I thought I cleaned that off. These should be one undersize, two undersize, which is what some little... This one is labeled 200-X. A little loose. Got another one here in my bag of tricks. That one's tighter. So, I'm going to show you how loose this end bushing. And this one doesn't wear nearly as much, which is strange because it's 50% bigger diameter at this end, yet all the wear takes place at this end because that's where it's doing its work, whereas this is just idling along. So, that's a lot of play from my experience. Don't ask me how many tens of thousands it is. It's just the old fingers telling the truth. So you take your screwdriver, your sharp garage sale screwdriver, and you punch this baby out. And you destroy it. And then out comes the bushing. Now, luckily, let's see if this has any markings on it. Do I have any spray here? Yes. I might have obliterated any of the writing on it. No, no writing on it. I wonder how that bigger bushing fits inside this housing. Clean it. And how do you put it in? You do not hit it like this because you'll mushroom it. Make it smaller probably. You take a piece of wood, where is my woody? Here's a hammer that I bought for $1. This thing's been pounded on a lot. You could take 2 hammers and do this, but you make sure it's square and you go real easy, because if you harm the bushing, you're not going to be able to get the armature into the hole. And I should be using a piece of wood or a hammer handle. I probably have a hammer dedicated to the purpose. This one's pretty beat up. This even has someone's name, rank, and serial number on it. Let's see if I mangled it. Nope. A lot tighter, huh? Who knows what quality these are. You can go on eBay now and buy leftover GM stuff. Speaking of leftover GM stuff, I'll move out of the view of the camera for a sec. And I'll show you what I just bought, and it's not here, it's in the shop. So maybe I'll pause you in a minute. And I'll come back and I'll show you what I bought. More toys on Amazon. No Christmas presents for this young boy. Whee! Okay, I'm going to go look in my pile of junk and see if I have another starter. I don't know why. I've never had that happen before where a bushing just falls right through. And I don't think there's much you could do. You could always mangle it. You can always put JB Weld on the end to hold it in, but it's going to spin like a spun bearing on a certain 2.8 V6 in Columbia, South Carolina. So, let me do something else. Starter drive. You see how hard it back spins? Goes one way only. It has a good amount of resistance. So I'm going to take my crappy screwdriver and remove this bushing. What I need here is a pair of vice grips. I like my workshop, just stick my foot on top of it. Some people go to the gym for exercise. I don't go to no stinking gym. My gym is right here at work. There it goes. I was at the gym when I was probably 12 years old. I remember my friend was kind of chubby, so he put a trash bag over his body thinking that he'd build up extra sweat and melt those pounds away. I actually went to his father's funeral several years ago, and he didn't even acknowledge my presence, which was kind of weird. I guess he was bereaved. The bereaved. Who wants to have someone die? One thing I noticed about going to a funeral, don't you like how my conversations just sort of ramble on, is that you enter the funeral home by one door, and just like a car wash, when you're done you go out the other door and the next family is waiting to go in. It kind of bugged me, but what are you going to do? It's like anything else, it's a business. There it is. One mangled bushing. It was in good shape except that it was loose. I'm going to take a little bit of this stuff and I'm going to huff and puff and get high on some brake clean since marijuana is legal in Canada. Why would anybody want to inhale stuff into their lungs? Cigarette smoke, cigars, marijuana, ugh. Brake cleaner. I like my lungs nice and pink. And they ain't in good shape. Don't ask me why. So there's a bushing that I wouldn't mind putting in the nose cone. Fits nice and tight. Get my big hammer and whack it. And I've never seen anybody that I know of, I've never seen anybody, not to say it doesn't happen, but I've never seen anybody put a new bushing inside the drive. And now you have. And I've always done it. So I might have to stick a file on this baby and ream it, because that's a nice tight fit, just like the valve guides in your small block Chevy. Wow, that is a tight fit. What are we recording? I want to make sure this thing is recording. Whoa, baby. That is a press fit. I'm impressed. Barely gets off the split here for the locking ring, which I bet you don't even have to install because it'll just bang into the nose cone, which in this case is buggered up anyways. So we're making progress. I might take a little sandpaper and just clean this up a bit. As the brushes wear on the brass contacts, the copper contacts rather, it's not brass, it's copper, it wears down the isolator that's in between. And you can buy new ones, you can put these on a growler and you can test them. I've never seen a bad one. Maybe one in 30 years. You just look at it. If it's burned up, just go into your junk pile, your core pile, which is basically what that is. Wow, that's a nice tight fit. No play whatsoever. How'd the back turn out? Did I test that already? Yes. Wow, look at that. Hardly any play whatsoever. I'm going to have a perfect condition remanufactured USA and USA starter that was spent a lot of time in China or sometime in China. So let's go for a walk. Let's see, how do I unclamp this now? I'll show you this crappy holder that I bought. This slides up and down. This is threaded. I've got it inside a bucket full of tow dolly straps being held in place by a pipe wrench. I'm going to take this with. I'm going to open the door. There's no smoking in here. Wait a minute. This is a designated smoking area? The American Lung Association? That's old enough. Okay, let's head into the shop. I left the heat on here last night. I came in this morning, and luckily it wasn't that chilly outside. It was just around the freezing mark, 33 plus 1 Celsius. I've got to do a little bit of work on that starter, and then I'm going to put it back in, which is really tough. There's no room. That stubbor's in the way. What do we got here? Came off a Buick. They're all a little different. Here's a diesel one. It always says no shim right there. There's a nice corroded one. Yuck, that one was in a ditch. So, God, I can't see anything without my glasses. It's terrible. Saw a guy being pushed today in a wheelchair with no legs. I thought to myself, stop bitching and complaining. Someone's got it worse than you. How do you get used to that? That one looks like a nice one. Why would I want to take that apart? Oh, whoop, plop. Let's see if I can find one that's already disassembled. BS. There's one right there. Drive feels good. Bushing's a little loose. I gotta fix my trouble light. There's a beauty. How the hell did this thing get so corroded? There's a metric one. This one takes 2 long bolts. 3 blind mice, 2 blonde. Sometimes I have one that I've scavenged some parts out of, and I just bolt them together loosely, and I haven't found one yet. That looks like a cutoff because the wire is still there. So it leads me to believe that I cut it off. Or somebody cut it off. Like I told you guys yesterday, I got one from a junkyard. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you something. A couple people have asked me for a 6.2 starter bracket, and I have 2. I had 4. I sold one, I got paid for it. I sent one and never got paid for it. And where did I put them? So I ordered these off of Amazon, and I knew they weren't the right ones, but there's a tin on the roof banging around. I was up on the roof today. I had them here, but I screwed a couple pieces down, left a couple pieces loose. I had them over here. There's the 6.5 bracket. Where did I put the 6.2 bracket? I fear this battery's going to go dead on this piece of crap phone. I'm going to pause you for a second. I'm going to look around for the 6.2 bracket. That's the ones I just bought. Genuine GM. Where are they made? I'm guessing USA. Genuine parts. Yeah. Things ain't what they used to be. Things ain't what they used to be. Bracket starter. I'm going to go look for my brackets. Please hold. Your call is important to us. All right. I dug through the pile, and on the very end, the very last starter, luckily I went to the end, I found this. Oh boy, these are heavy. I found this. Remember what I told you? I robbed some parts out of it, so let's see if it's the same nose cone. Well, you know that it is, otherwise I wouldn't be showing it to you. Yep. Full length bolts, diagonal, and the drive is junk, spins way too easy, so we have found our junk. And I made some notes here. Smaller diameter. Small. It's actually showing up better on the camera than in my eyes. Small diameter armature, I don't know. Let's take it into the surgery room and hope it doesn't fall apart and hit me on the toe, because I'm not wearing steel-toed sneakers. Bought a saw for 20 bucks, piece of junk worth 10. But you gotta have lots of saws when you're doing roof work, because if it goes flying and hits the ground, that's it. Junk saw. So you bring up a cheapie. All right. Don't know why I took this thing apart, but it's years and years ago. That's what happens when you get old. Everything is years and years ago. Oh yeah, nice and rusty. Yep. Parts are robbed out of it. Oh, look at that nice armature. Here's the brushes. Junk. I'm going to try to put this back in the holder. Oh yeah, it goes this way. And we'll resume our charades and escapades. Tighten the clamp. And stick it in the bucket deeper. And as it slowly falls into place. Oh, fire extinguisher's in the way. That's my knee, right? That's the fire extinguisher handle. There we go. Oh boy. How about a couple? How about some that attach to a shelf or something with a, looks like a reading lamp bracket. Oh, Chinese junk. That's not coming out of there. Yes, it is. same before I go any further. Yeah, look at that. Wonder if it's made by the same company. What does it say on it? RS? Corroded. Sometimes these screws corrode into the aluminum casing. And those people that tell you that aluminum don't corrode, ha! Open the hood of your car if you've driven in the salt. Speaking of which, that's not letting go. You can't heat it up because the aluminum melts around the screw, unlike steel. Yep, got a good view. Oh boy, we're looking for trouble here. Shoot. Shoot, 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 shoot. It's a smaller diameter, just like I wrote. Look at that. Can you see it? Yeah, quarter inch or so, maybe. Whatever that is in centimeter decimeters. Huh, that bushing isn't even that worn. Minimal wear. Oh, this nose doesn't go through. Maybe they drilled this. Some of them go through. I just sprayed a bit of cleaner in there to put the junk at the bottom. Yeah, it's a nice nose actually. Just needs a bit of cleaning up here. There was some caulking here. It looks like I already took the wire brush to it. Corrosion. Yeah, I've already wire brushed it. I can see telltale signs. That means that this field coil is smaller than the other one. Oh, yeah, parts are flying on this one. I wonder where this came from. Who the heck knows? Delco Remy 2J4, 1974. Twos. I don't know. J, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J. The 9th month. You don't count I. 2J4, 9th month, 2004, 94, who knows. What do I do? How do you loosen a bolt that is likely seized inside aluminum? Work it back and forth, spray some Kroil on it, some transmission oil with acetone. It's going to bust or take the threads with it. Not good at all. Nope. Maybe I put a little bit of heat to it. I'm going to pause you and come back in a minute. You know the drill. Please hold. All right, we're back rolling. A mere 5 minutes later, I just plugged in my battery charger. And I've got my extension from Napa Cobalt from Lowe's with a 5/16 socket. I applied a very small amount of heat so that it would come loose but not melt the aluminum threads into the boy. I'm going to spray a little bit of carb cleaner on it. Anything will act as a lubricant. Maybe I light it on fire. I just put a little bit of heat on it. I was watching somebody tapping some threads the other day on some random video, and he was just running the tap in one direction without stopping to crack the waste off the tap. He just kept going and going. It was making me crazy. I could just hear my shop teacher in the background, run the tap backwards, or run it in the opposite direction every quarter or half a turn to clear the threads. And this guy was just going and going and going. I may not have paid much attention to things in school, but I did remember my shop class teacher reminding us. Look at that. Take this one now. And I could look inside, clean the surfaces like I just did. I took this housing to the wire brush. My wire brush on a motor. Look how rusty that screw was. Look at all the crud that was in there. What happens is the screw rusts and expands. The aluminum corrodes and expands, and together it gets tight, and I don't think any kind of spray, anything, is going to do anything. That's my opinion. I like to use the torch method. What do they call that? Right, so here's my housing. You set the shift forks, which are pretty worn on the return. I'm going to take those out. And you stick it in there. Look how tight that is. Funny, huh? The starter was junk, yet the bushing is nice and tight. I'm not going to change it. That's really tight. Can you see how much that's moving? That's really minimal. Of course, you've got the increased leverage. If you check the movement here, there'd be nothing. But as you extend along the shaft, it gets further and further. That's really tight. So, right behind me, from the 6.2 starter I was rebuilding a couple of weeks ago, I've got my little Made in USA Crescent brand trademark, Marque Déposée. I'm going to remove this little C-clip, which is really tricky. And I lost one the other day. It's around here somewhere, but I'll never see it again. But luckily I've got lots of core starters, so when you put this back in, you put the pin so it faces the down direction, so in case that little clip ever falls off, at least this will tend to stay in place. This one here has got a hollow one that they've made into an oval. You can remove it. It's a little tricky. You gotta squish it. So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna use this one? Let's see if I can squish it. You can't punch it out because it'll take too much aluminum with it. I wonder if this housing is made in China, or if someone drilled it and put an oversized exterior bushing in. Oh yeah, it's not going to squish so easy. I want to make sure you can see this. I don't want to be a fraction off camera. How about a pair of ice grips? These are the ones that rescued me when my heater hose blew off in Elizabeth. Was it Elizabeth, New Jersey? Now I forget. It's so long ago. Never heard back from that woman at AutoZone. AutoZone or Advance? What else can we talk about? Cats! My cat eats and poops and pees and drinks and plays and goes crazy. But the last couple days, I've noticed that she is getting thin. She's a full-grown kitten. She's probably, I'm guessing, a year or so old. She escaped 2 weeks ago, ran outside and wouldn't come back in, and spent the night outside and came back with a big scratch on her nose. And now I noticed she's losing weight, even though she seems fine. So someone said check her poop for worms. She may have eaten some other cat's poop. Speaking of little animals, there we go. Okay. I took up my Suburban today, and Taiwan, right there, or something. It's hard to read. I see AIW right there. So I need to bring her to the vet because I think she may have worms. Why do other animals eat other animals? Or why do our animals, or why does an animal eat an animal's poop or sniff it? It gets a little wormy and ugh, yucky pooey. I'm just thinking to put the C-clip on, but it doesn't use one. So I've got to put, don't you like all these parts scattered everywhere here? You got a good view? Yep, battery hasn't gone dead yet. Got the high-speed charger plugged in. What the problem was, actually, I'm going to put this one back, and I'm going to, well, if I reverse it, that's what's going to apply to the shift forks. That's worn from the return side, those little buttons. That's on the return side. You can reverse it. There's probably a way that it's supposed to be directed, but engage. And it was this way, and the return side was worn for whatever reason. Somebody probably knows more about it than I do. So I've got to put the drive back on with my new bushing, and I should put some grease on it, shouldn't I? Or should I just do it dry? That's nice and tight. I think I'll put some fluid film on or high-speed wheel bearing grease. What should I put on? I know what I'll put on. Salsa. Organic pineapple salsa. I love salsa. I love an extra triple spice. Oh, wait, here. This will fix it. It'll take up the gap as it wears. Big gap filler. I'm going to go get some grease. Please hold. What are we at? 30 minutes. Holy crap. I'm back. I found a tube of grease. I don't know where it came from, but it's been sitting on top of my toolbox for a year, gently oozing its guts and creating an oil slick on top of one of my toolboxes. So let's see what's inside. Yeah, grease. This is Valvoline GM Chrysler European and Japanese vehicles, multi-purpose grease, disc brakes, wheel bearings, steering linkage, chassis suspension, universal joints. 400 grams, multi-purpose, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 18 Celsius, to 375 Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot. Made in USA. For free car care tips, visit Valvoline.com. Well, it can't be that old. I've got a little, what they call an acid brush, and I usually just stick my screwdriver in there. I've already got some on the armature. So I'm going to put some in the refurbished, reconditioned, and highly recommended. Can't put too much in because it'll lock. Put the acid brush back in the tube. And, oh yeah, that's what I was supposed to do. Duh. Slather some of this on so it'll attract lots of dust when this guy goes off-roading. I was oiling my friend's hinges on his Japanese vehicle with 300,000 miles. I said, don't do that. It's going to attract dirt and look ugly. I said, you got a point, but you need to grease things up. This grease is oily because it was oozing slowly. This is kind of sort of the grease that guys would use to rust-proof vehicles. I was looking on eBay to buy a new wand for my fluid film spray gun, my Pro spray gun, because I can't find mine. I lost it last year. I found it, and I lost it again. Where the heck could it be? I don't know. It's kind of hard to lose. It's almost 3 feet long, and it doesn't fold up, so it's got to be sticking out somewhere. So I went on to eBay. You can't buy those things locally. They're not available. There's 2 places that sell it. Kelsport Products and kelsportproducts.com. Don't mumble your words. And was it Product 9000 or something? Anyways, it's $30 or $25 for a new hose. It hurts. It's around somewhere. Anyways, I'll have a spare. And I was looking at the other items available, just curious to see what the guy sold. And he sells something called wool wax, which is what fluid film is. It's